Well, hello folks, my name is Leah Bonasage, from the Master Lab system. So today we'll be looking at the basics of the ELK stack, which is Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. So first and foremost, folks, what is ELK stack? So when we are talking about the ELK stack, we are referring to three toolings, which is Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. So Elasticsearch is a distributed search and analytics engine, so which serves as the base storage for holding the data that is incoming to it. Well, yeah, it serves as a database storage for managing and storing the data. So Logstash is then a data processing tooling, so which is then it processes the data and transmits it to Elasticsearch using a pipeline ingestion to Elasticsearch. So I will be demonstrating that in this tutorial as well. So you can see how you can transmit data via Logstash to Elasticsearch and index that data. So which is the last tooling now, Kibana. So Kibana is nothing more than just a visualization or a visualization tool and for analytics dashboard. So it's just a visualizer for our data that is stored in Elasticsearch. So let's look at the basics of Elasticsearch. So Elasticsearch on its own works on its own, and then you can. It's one of the biggest database, NoSQL database tooling system that is widely used for managing and unrelational database tools, database data. So Elasticsearch stores and indexes the data. It's also a powerful full-text search engine, so which is a very big, scalable, and distributed by design. So the key concepts for this one, it's normally it indexes the data and it stores the data in the format of a document, and also it allows you to query because it contains an API that you can query to it to interact to it. If you want to run some query from some queries, you can also provide that advantage to interact with using its API. So moving on, let's look at Logstash basics. So what does Logstash do? So Logstash just collects the data and processes it and sends the data. So it doesn't hold the data, but it just collects and processes and then sends it. So imagine you are pulling the data from somewhere else, or from a third-party application, from API, syslog, from TCP, EIP, or whichever you're collecting from. So Logstash serves as that point of collection of the data, and then it runs some processing to it, and then it transmits it to Elasticsearch to index it. So the key concept for Logstash is that Logstash is widely used for pipeline creations that will listen from the inputs and then submit from the outputs, which is Elasticsearch. So also it works with something called a grok pattern, which we'll be looking in a little bit. So a grok pattern normally just a way of manipulating of the data and running some filters throughout the data before you ingest it or before you transmit it to Elasticsearch. So let's look at Kibana. So Kibana is just nothing more than just a visualizer or a front-end application that displays or that visualizes what is on Elasticsearch. So Kibana is built with dashboards and explore data interactivity features. So the features that it provides, it just some maps, charts, and provides an easy way to interact with the Elasticsearch because of you can just since with its interface it allows you to just write some queries easily, or you just use its own features to interact with the database. And it makes it easy to even create these queries, as you just allows more like a drag and drop features. So the use cases for Elasticsearch for Kibana are mostly for monitoring, reporting, and analysis. Okay, so let's look at the whole flow of the ELK stack. So step 1, which is Logstash, ingests and processes the data from various sources. Step 2, which is Elasticsearch. So Elasticsearch indexes and stores the data. Step 3, which is Kibana, it visualizes and provides insights on the data. So normally the use cases, which is the real world use cases, we are talking about the log management and the monitoring, and then security information, which is event management, which is the same technologies that is also good, useful for monitoring those. So it also provides some real-time analytics and business intelligence. So now let's look at the hands-on demo on how we can ingest the data to Elasticsearch using Logstash and visualize the data on Kibana. So folks, I will be using Linux again for the purpose of this demo. So forgive me, but I'll also create a tutorial in Windows. Okay, so first of all, what is important is to do the setup. But for now, the setup has already been done. I've already done that, so I will create a tutorial in the next series. I'll create a tutorial just to show you how you can set up the ELK stack. So important thing, first of all, is to check the status of the ELK. So systemctl status, for example, Elasticsearch. Okay, so Elasticsearch is running, is up and running. So let's look at now Kibana, for example. So okay, Kibana is also running. So let's look at Logstash. Okay, also Logstash is running. So for now, I will go to my Logstash directory, which is where Logstash is located, since we want to collect the data and send to our Elasticsearch cluster. So cd etc Logstash. Okay, that's where Logstash is. So once you have done your successful installation, this is how Logstash looks like, or the files inside Logstash. So we have the config, which contains the configuration files that we'll be using for this demo to pull and to receive and transmit data to Elasticsearch, and also some various settings, which is JVM settings, since this is a Java project. So it also has some Java settings. So and also this is the pipeline file, which is, for example, if I can do a cat of logstash.yaml. So this is just this is just a configuration of Logstash. So we have the pipeline file, which contains the pipelines that we have. Currently, I only have one pipeline, which is the main pipeline that I'll be using. As you can see, it's only one pipeline, and then it's a main pipeline. So, and also it's listening for the config file, which is in that directory that I've mentioned so far, which is this directory. This is where now, so meaning I'm listening, this pipeline will only listen for anything in that directory that ends with the .config file. So I will show you my config file. So cd or just our own config. So I only have two configs, which is the bits test and the litigation. But for this demo, we'll be looking at the litigation config. So if I do a nano, just to show you how this config looks like, this litigation conf. So this is this litigation config. So I'm just gonna briefly explain what this is. So basically what this means, the input, it's where it's the source, and specifying the source where I will be getting the data from. So the input, it's a standard in, so it means I will be pasting the data through the command line. That's what it means, a standard in. So sometimes you can sometimes the input usually differs from where your source is. So sometimes you might see some becoming TCP IP, so whereby maybe you are pulling from a certain API or from a certain location or from a certain third-party application. So sometimes you can use a TCP, or sometimes you can use a file. Say instance you want to pull this data from a file. There is also a input plugin that you can use for a file. There is quite a lot of those input plugins though, but for this demo I will be only showing you using the standard in plugin. So let's look at this one, the output. So basically what it means, the output, it's a standard output, meaning you're just gonna display it as well in the command line or in just in the interface. Or then looking at this part, which is the Elasticsearch part, I have hashed this part now for just to run the config file, just to show you how it runs using the standard in and the standard out. But on the next run that we'll be doing, we'll be ingesting to direct it to Elasticsearch. So this is the Elasticsearch config. Well, when we are sending the data to. So for now, we'll start this config, because how you do it is to start this config and then we can put some data and then we display using the standard out. So if we do logstash-f, so this is how we run this config file. So we do user share logstash bin logstash-f, because I'm specifying the config file, and then that's the path to my config file. And then this is the config file that I wanted to run. So if we do an enter, it should start up Logstash now on that config. So while it is starting up, let's look at the data that we will be sending. So I have a sample data here on my VS Code that I want us to use. So I'm just gonna copy from here, which is this list of data. Okay, so do a copy. So okay, as we can see now on the Fox, the standard in plugin is now waiting for input. So now the standard in is started successful and it's waiting for the input. So this thing, what it does, is not gonna send anything to Elasticsearch as yet, but it will just print out to the standard line, to the standard out. So if we paste that data now, this is how it lists. As you can see, this is the data. So this is the standard out plugin now that's displaying this data. As you can see, it has all the fields on my data type. So as you can see, so now we will look into attempting to install, to send it to Elasticsearch. So I will stop this one now. So I will bring out my next string, which is my Elasticsearch. So this is my Elasticsearch. As you can see, folks, I haven't sent some data for some time. So let's, instead of using the last 2 years as the filter, we'll put it to instance today. As you can see, there's nothing for today, of which then as soon as we send that data and then we refresh this tab, it should show us the latest data that's being sent. So this is the index we'll be using, which is the litigation index. As you can see, it hasn't received any data for today. So let's go back to our terminal and then let's now unblock or uncomment, which is the Elasticsearch part. And what I will do at this time, I will hash out the standard out. So if we hash the standard out, so and then we do that, we hash that, we hash this too, and then we enable Elasticsearch. So we enable that. That's the index litigation, which is my user Elastic, and my password is that one. So everything looks fine now. I'll hash, save, and exit. So if we start up again this pipeline and attempts to send the data that we just sent using the standard in, so let's just give it a second while it's starting up Logstash on that config. Okay, so again, the input, it's still the standard in, but the output this time, it's no longer the standard out, it's a Elasticsearch cluster. Okay, so the standard in plugin is waiting, so let's provide it again. So let's give it, okay. So now let's go look at our Elasticsearch. Let's try to refresh. Boom, there you go. There we go, folks. As you can see now, our data has been successfully transmitted to Elasticsearch and it's been indexed. As we can see now on the Kibana interface, it is successfully sent. As you can see, the timestamp, it matches exactly, which is this current timestamp that we just used to send the data now. So if we do so we can use from litigation, then we pipe it to limit to 10. So as you can see, folks, this is all our data that we just sent. I will be ending here, folks. Please like and subscribe. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. If you have any comments, please post them on the comment section below. I will be answering those. Thank you so much, folks. See you out on the next tutorial.